Okay, we are recording and we are still having more people join. So, okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to, like I said, welcome you all to today's meeting. Just to stay on time, I'm going to kind of go through our agenda. Amy Einsinger from Monroe Meyer Institute with UNL wanted to talk a little bit about the upcoming evaluation that they are going to be doing and some of the processes and who will be involved with that. And she needed to go first. So Amy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for leaving space for letting me talk to you all today. We are just getting our spring evaluation ready to go. For those of you that have been involved in it, the process is a little bit different this year. We've selected a few sites from each cohort to kind of focus in on to see some fine-grained aspects of what's going on with Ready Rosie in your programs. So for those of you that were involved in the coordinator interviews in the fall, we will be reaching back out to you to try to set up a either teacher or home visitor staff focus group, as well as a parent focus group that will be involved. And then we'll also do another like coordinator interview with you. For everyone else, we are going to send out kind of a just kind of an umbrella Ready Rosie survey that you can forward on to your teachers or staff, as well as take yourself, and that will be coming out in March as well. And I think for everyone that was involved in focus groups before, we did it a little bit different to where each person got a specific incentive, but now there's going to be more of a drawing for parents that are involved in the focus groups this time. So that's mainly what I had to say. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
So Amy, when you're ready to do the parent focus groups, you'll send those letters to the site and they'll send them out, or will you send those letters directly to parents?
Sure. So actually what we typically do is we reach out to the coordinator or the site director and say, do you have, we'll kind of pull from the list of families that are involved in your site, and we'll do some, high level users, some moderate and some low level users, and pull those names together. And what we'll do is we'll put kind of a big list together. So that way you have a bigger pool, but it's easier if the sites ask the parents rather than getting some random email or letter from someone at UNMC that they've never met. So that's typically how we do it, is we provide each site, and I think Lois has done it maybe for us last year. We provide her with a site of like a list of, these are the parents we've kind of identified. Can you please try to reach out to them and see if they would be willing to be involved? All of these will take place over Zoom. We won't have any in-person focus groups like we did in previous years.
So remind me, the 6 sites will be Gering, Lexington, Schuyler, Lincoln Educare, Hastings, Adams County, and I'm missing one more. York. Yep. So if you are one of those 6 communities, I have sent you each an email talking about the parent incentive material packages that will be coming from Lakeshore to your sites directly. And those will be, if you can hang on to those until Amy and her crew do the focus groups, or if just Amy's doing them, I'm not sure who all on her team's going to do those. Amy will then draw the names and get the parents' names and their phone numbers and then get back to me, and I will send them out to your site so that then you can get a hold of those parents to arrange for them to get their winnings that they were eligible for. So it is a really nice package from Lakeshore. They have some pretty cool items in there, also donating some items too, so it can be a nice gift bag for the parents. I think it's valued at almost $50.
Sorry about that. For anyone that has Spanish speaking parents or staff or teachers, we do, one of the people on my team is a native Spanish speaker, and we will be having her do the focus groups, and she was a home visitor before, so she's got some kind of background knowledge in that. So Jennifer Rodriguez will actually be doing all of our Spanish speaking focus groups for parents. So if you could put, when I send out the list of families, if you could let me know, if you have Spanish speaking or if you need an English speaking group, then we can get that organized correctly.
All right. Great. Any questions for Amy? Awesome. All right, good deal. Okay, we'll be looking forward to those evaluation processes in the next month or so then. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. All right, so just follow up on the past incentives. So all programs should have now received all of the incentive materials that were sent out. So if you have not received them, please make sure you let me know, because I did have the last tracking documents from Lakeshore and all of the packages were accounted for and showing delivered. If you're one of those ones that had the birth to 3 packages, which were the last ones sent, and you have not sent me packing slips, please make sure that you get those packing slips sent to me if you can. So we are now through that stage of incentives, encouraging teachers to sign up, get classrooms started, and doing all of that. We are now in the process of starting our second round of incentive and the incentive opportunity. So all of you who may be district administrators should have received an email from me last week, Wednesday, with a potential current list of users of Ready Rosie for your district and or site, however you're set up. I've heard from most half of you. I think I still have half that I have not heard back. So if you did not see that email, you might check your junk mail or your spam mail to see if you got an email from me, if you are a district manager of your Ready Rosie site, or if you're a supervisor for a child care center that's your own district site. Please be sure to find that email. Please verify your active teacher list and get back to me. And then what I will be doing is going back to Ready Rosie, looking at that teacher list and making sure that there's active use. So what I'm really looking for is when I bring up a teacher's name, I don't want to see that it's been 4 months since they've done anything on Ready Rosie. So anytime a teacher gets on there and looks at a video, it will say such and such viewed this video 1 day ago, or such and such sent out this playlist, or a parent commented on something. So I can see who's been using Ready Rosie and who hasn't been, and whose parents have been interacting on Ready Rosie and whose parents aren't. So if you go onto your site and you look at your name yourself, or if you're a district manager, or if you are a center director and you bring up your teachers' names and you're seeing that there's no activity for months, then more than likely they may not be eligible for the incentive. So here's fair warning now. Please start encouraging your staff to access Ready Rosie, log on to the page, view some videos. I would love for them to start looking at some videos. And if possible, send out a playlist if they can. But I would be happy if they're at least exploring the page, looking at some videos, and kind of at least getting themselves more familiar with Ready Rosie here in the recent months, so that we can reward them with an incentive. So that'll be next on my list, and I'm hoping to have that completed pretty much by the 1st of next week. And then just as an update, you also on your list, were given a list of those providers or locations who have never started a classroom or have not done any activity with Ready Rosie at all. Those potentially will be removed if they don't start participating, getting classrooms set up and getting invitations sent out. So if they are still inactive when I look in March, they'll be removed, which will then give communities opportunity to add new classrooms. So if you've had people reach out to you and ask if they could be part of the Ready Rosie program and how do they sign up, that would be the opportunity then that I can let you know that we have space. So that's what's coming up in the next month or so. I know I did say that our incentives were possibly going to be 2 different types of gift cards, so that teachers could select which, if they wanted a Lakeshore gift card or if they wanted a Walmart gift card. However, have been notified through our administration that because this is a federally funded grant, we cannot do Walmart gift cards, which is a bummer because I really wanted you to be able to have the opportunity to select. So they will be Lakeshore gift cards. And as soon as we verify how many teachers are actively using Ready Rosie, the amount will be determined, divided by what's left to how many teachers are using it. Right now, we're at about $90 a teacher. So that's a pretty good amount though. I just wish it was the ability to have have 2 options, so that if you wanted to purchase maybe bulk materials to send home with families to do activities at home, that Walmart would probably be a good choice because you can get things fairly cheap there and buy things bigger. But we're going to have Ronnie put us together some packages of ideas of things. So if you're not sure what you want to get with your Lakeshore gift card, he can give you some ideas of what they have and the age groups they'd match with and those types of things. You're not obligated to buy those packages they put together. It's just an idea for you. So any questions about the upcoming incentive? I see a few people on here that have not replied back to me. So I'm hoping today, after today's meeting, you'll check your email and look for an email from me. So
Hey,
I have
Shauna.
a feeling that they're kind of going to spam.
Shauna, What about like a Scholastic type gift card? Would that be an option to be able to?
It would be an option, but at this point, we're getting to the time where the money needs to be spent so that it can get billed out before the grant is over with. And we knew that we would spend it immediately with Walmart, and we knew that we could spend it immediately with Lakeshore. With Scholastic, we have to jump through a few more hoops, but that is something we can consider for the next round, for the next funding cycle for sure. We just didn't know that getting Walmart gift cards was going to be such a hoop to jump through for federal money. But apparently, since you can buy liquor and cigarettes there, they don't want gift cards there. Who knew? But good question.
Shauna.
For asking.
Excuse me. I think you're sending emails to a Carla Bowl for Educare Lincoln, but actually Lois Chapo is the one who's involved. She's the school director. Sometimes she forwards me emails and sometimes she forgets. I don't know if we're one of the ones that did not respond, but if you send them to me, I'll make sure to respond.
Okay, you are one.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Lois. And I see Terry on there too. So Terry, and I know a lot of times my emails go to junk mail when I send them to you, Terry. So if you'll take a look. Okay, I think the next, what we have up next at 1:45, which we're getting right close to, is to turn it over to Teddy and let her start talking about the ebooks. So Teddy, I'm going to give you the ability to share.
All right, great. Thank you. Let me share my screen here. Okay, and this is going to be a little interactive, so just fair warning, heads up. And so just in the chat, if you all would just put a yes or no in the chat, if you even knew we had ebooks available that you guys could use. So just real quickly, you can just type yes or no.
And while Teddy's waiting for you guys to answer, I do want to just shout out to Teddy. Are you guys all good? You have water? You have electricity?
I have water. I have electricity. The electricity came on about midday on Thursday. I'm in Texas. About midday Thursday after having been out the wee mornings of Monday. And then they lifted the water boil actually when the water came back on. I guess it was Friday, maybe. Your days kind of run together. But the crazy thing is yesterday it got up to 70 and there was absolutely no sign of the 6 inches of snow that we had had. I mean, if I had said, oh my gosh, just 2 days ago we had 6 inches of snow, you all would have said, you are lying. And then the other thing, just before I get on to ebooks, is Shauna knows I love the snow. I've always wanted to live somewhere where it snowed. Well, now after last week, I'm happy to just go visit. I shoveled my driveway, my back sidewalk and my front sidewalk, and literally, thought I was going to die. And so I'm just going to now go to places where they have people that keep those things shoveled. So anyway, we are good. So, okay. Well, it looks like from looking at the chat real quickly that the majority of you all kind of put no. And so we'll just start there. And then I have some things that I just want to point out to you all. And that is the way that your teachers or you guys will access these ebooks is through resources. So you'll just click on resources and they're the very first thing that you can click on. When you do, you'll see all 6 of the ebooks that we currently have. I have heard that they're going to be adding more as time goes on, but I don't know when or which ones they're going to be adding. But just real quickly, so they come in English and Spanish. Here's just the titles: Water Wonders Boxes, Simple Machines, Garden, Changes in Our World, and then Families. Your families also can access these through their resources. So as I've said in the past, some teachers will, or home visitors or family service workers, whomever is sharing content with families, will just share the link in their playlist or on another platform that they're using, and then the parents can just click right there on that link and the book opens up. They don't even have to go to resources and click on the book. But once you do, they pop up And several of our teachers have shared that they are also using these books via Zoom, kind of like if they're virtual, kind of like a Zoom read aloud. Although I know it's not ideal, but sometimes, in these crazy times, we got to do what we got to do. And so you can just see, so the parent can read the book at home. You can share it with your children, via Zoom or whatever. But then the other thing that we have done is we created an alignment document for each of those 6 ebooks. And so, for instance, Water Wonders, if you wanted to send a little custom playlist that sent out Ready Rosie videos that would support skills that were talked about in that book, you could send. We have infant, toddler up through kindergarten first, sorry. But a lot of our videos are already pre-KK or K1 or 3, 4, 4, 5. They kind of overlap some of the age bands. Anyway, so you could actually create just a very quick little custom playlist that supports just that one ebook that you wanted to share with your families. And so, and these we also have in English, we've listed the English and Spanish videos. Then if there are any of the research and answer videos, those little, expert videos, we've linked those to them as well. So not only can you send home activities to support the skills that are being talked about in each of those books, you also can send home just a little 2-minute, professional development for your family to, teach, help them understand some of those things. So I wanted to real quickly just show you here. Do any of you all know, and you don't have to, put it formally in the chat. If you want to unmute yourself, you can. But do any of you all know if your teachers have used any of the ebooks? Do you know? Oops, I lost my chat. Have not, don't think so. Okay, all right. And so, of course, it is perfectly fine to just share these ebooks. I mean, every single one of them, just by sharing the book, you're going to be supporting vocabulary, you're going to be supporting listening and speaking, you're going to be supporting listening comprehension, those things that are supported in just a read aloud. But I want us to go through, I'm just going to read quickly, not all, of Harvesting a Rainbow Garden here. I apologize. We lost the snow and then my allergies kicked in. So it's a trade-off. All right, and so on this one, it starts out red, orange, yellow, green, and purple. Fruits and vegetables come in a rainbow of colors, but they are not just beautiful to look at. They are delicious, nutritious, and keep you happy. Let's find out how colorful fruits and vegetables, from juicy red tomatoes to sweet yellow corn, are grown and harvested, and why it's so important to eat the rainbow. And then it's going to take a different fruit or vegetable. And the nice thing about these books is you can read as much or as little of it as you want to. So if you're working with little bitty ones, you might just want to read Tug on a Ripe Tomato, Red Tomato. Tomatoes are the fruit of a tomato plant. As tomatoes grow on the vine, they change colors from green to yellow to red and become plump and round like a ball. That's all you have to read if you want to. If you want to talk just real quickly about how they grow, you can just kind of summarize that tomato plants don't require a lot of space. In fact, a lot of people even grow them in little containers on their back patio. When the tomatoes on the plant turn a bright red, then that's how we know they're ready to be picked, and so on and so forth. Tomatoes are sweet and tangy. You can eat them raw. You don't have to cook them. Sliced into layers on a sandwich or diced into pieces for a salad. Cooked tomatoes are a tasty ingredient in many soups and sauces, which is such as chili and pasta sauce. How do you like red tomatoes? And so again, I could have, if I'm working with threes, just read this first little blob here and then just show the pictures and say they can be sliced, they can be put in a salad, they can be put in soup. Did you know that they're also in spaghetti sauce? depending on the level child. And so it goes through the different colors, but then the different fruits and vegetables. And so it talks about corn, it talks about carrots, talks about green cucumbers, and it follows that same format where you could just read this one little sentence and, you know, just put in your own words about these pictures. And then if you didn't want to read this verbiage on the second page, you could just say, you know, you can slice cucumbers. Some people eat them raw with the dip. They can go in a salad, and a lot of people like to put them on sandwiches too. So as you go through all of these books, I mean, all these pages, I'm not sure I would have included cauliflower, but you know, I didn't write the books. Mushrooms, and then it gives you a glossary in the very back. So just before I tell you all the different skills that are supported just by sharing that book, think about the curriculum that you guys are using or your teachers are using, and what are some things as I was flipping through them that you thought, okay, now that would support that. Okay, yeah, we talked about this, that would support that. Did anything jump out at you? And again, you can unmute or you can put it in the chat. Up to you guys. Take a guess. All right, healthy eating. Yes, absolutely healthy eating. And if you follow Head Start guidelines, you have a whole, you know, section of learning outcomes. I was thinking intentional teaching strategies, learning outcomes under that health and safety and nutrition and eating properly and things like that. Quality interaction, receptive and expressive vocabulary, emergent literacy, arithmetic, excuse me, colors. I love the way that the colors are just brought in as a natural part. I think sometimes we teach colors separately and only separately as a color unit or whatever. And I think colors are so easy to be taught while you're talking about other things, clothing, hair, fruits and vegetables, things like that. Good, Tracy. Plants, I think you could go on. Good, good. All right. So actually, you guys hit on it. Colors, foods, you know, the fruits and vegetables, those two categories. Also science. If you ever are talking about plants or parts of the plants or how plants grow, and you guys said health, safety, and nutrition, and then listening comprehension. And one of the things that I love about these books, and let me just show you what I mean. Simple machines here. The thing I love about these books is that, again, depending on the child, although I'm a big believer, if young children can learn, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! And pterodactyl and all these names of crazy dinosaurs and other, you know, characters that they, you know, love. I know my granddaughter, when she was 3, knew what an amulet was just because of whatever the princess is that has the, you know, the magic amulet that she wears. And so they're great for vocabulary, but specifically what we call academic vocabulary. I don't know if you all are familiar with the 3 levels of vocabulary that children need to learn, but that tier 1 are just those everyday words like baby, you know, clock, car, those things that they use in their everyday life. And then that that 3rd tier is what we call academic or concept vocabulary. And that is vocabulary that they need in the different academic areas. So math vocabulary, science vocabulary, reading in, you know, vocabulary. And then that section in the middle are those weird words like always or another, when they get into public school or in like kindergarten on up, those words that are kind of like our sight words, that they just have to know, like absurd or fabulous, those kinds of words. So you've got your everyday words, And then you have the top, which are those academic vocabulary words. And it's that top level that really throw children from low socioeconomic families off. And so one of the things I love is that these books start putting that academic language, that academic vocabulary in their ear. And so this one is the neighbors and their tools. My name is Amma, and I live in an apartment building in the city. I love living in my building because I get to visit my interesting neighbors. Let's see what they're doing today. The other thing I love is that all the children are not white, blonde, blue eyes. They're not all living in the, you know, the traditional house with the picket fence and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so she's in an apartment building. And so they try to be diverse, which reflect the families that we're working with. And so right here, they're talking about a window washer. What if the kids ever drive down or drive into a town with tall buildings? There's a good chance they're going to see window washers. And so you can just say the thing that helps them go up and down, move the rope, we call that a pulley. It looks like this. So again, depending on the level of the child that you're working with, you can go in, you know, however much explanation. But wedge, they use cutting materials, even if it's, you know, plastic knife or whatever. And that's what we're using to cut, you know, to cut bread. You're using a wedge. Wheel and axle, again, you're just putting those words in their ear. Some children will just, you know, attach them to those words because they love to use big words. Especially some of these, like lever. You know, they'll think that's really cool to be able to go home and tell their mom and dad that they're using lever, you know, they're using a lever when they're, you know, when they're cutting. Whoops, was that? Yeah, that was lever. I was like, wait a minute. And then seesaw. And so what I love about these books and the opportunity with early childhood children, those young children, is that you're teaching them these concepts, but with their everyday things that they're using. And when you're saying, you know, the seesaw, it's really a lever. And this is how it works. Then when they get into first, second, third on up, they've heard that word, they've seen those pictures of a seesaw matched with the word lever. And so they're not as surprised or overwhelmed or intimidated by that academic language. And so again, it just, you know, goes on through the basic, those science words, tools. And what we know from a lot of the research is that children or parents a lot of times don't use specific vocabulary. So, you know, for instance, when they're driving down the road, you know, you just say, oh, you know, look at that tree. Well, it's really not a tree, it's a bush, or, you know, whatever. And so we want to try to get parents away from using those general terms. You see that red car? Well, actually, that's a pickup truck, not a car. But getting parents to start using that specific vocabulary. And a lot of these ebooks do that and start putting those words in their head. So, so for this one, they're going to be, you know, everyday tools, but specifically that science vocabulary, just their curiosity, measurement, vocabulary, listening comprehension as well. So that's one. The other one that I want to specifically point out to you and show you is a world of families. But before we do that, I'll just, the one about boxes is actually really excellent for geometry and spatial awareness. I'm not gonna read it to you. I'll just flip through the pages for you. But these are also just great. This one in particular is good for just that math talk, that talking about math. And what I love is they're encouraged to go find these shapes or these boxes, and then talking about those shapes in their house or in their classroom. And math in particular, I don't know if you guys have experienced this or not, but math for so many children is a mystery. It's scary, and they don't see it as part of their everyday life. We kind of mystify it, and so they think it has no real world application. And so helping them find these shapes on these boxes, a Kleenex box, so what shape do you see right here on this box? That, and then boxes, different uses of boxes, the different sizes. So now you're also not only talking about, shapes and spatial awareness, but now you're comparing big and little. Now you're talking about texture, different materials that boxes can be made out of depending on their usage. And then boxes that we use every single day. And again, children don't make that connection that, that this, shoebox or my lunch box is a box. And it has this, the face of it is a square, it's a square on the front and the back, but then the sides really are more of a rectangle. And so helping them see those concepts in their everyday world. And so then again, you could look at whoops, I lost it here. That little alignment document to find out what modeled moments you could send home with that. Some of the machines we did, the garden we talked about, the water wonders, the health and safety, again, because it talks about water as a resource and all the different ways that we use water. It talks about using water for brushing your teeth or taking a bath. So there's your link to health and safety. It talks about using water for cooking. So there's your measuring. Science, again, thinking about water as a resource. And then, of course, the listening, comprehension, and listening and speaking. The changes in our world, I really love, because so many times you will do a big unit on life cycles. And so then you can talk about how we go through a life cycle, plants go through a life cycle, animals go through a life cycle, even the moon goes through a cycle that, that repeats itself, every month. And so this one, again, you have your science and specifically those science terms, that academic vocabulary. So, they're remembering when they were little and things they could do then or couldn't do, and now what can they do? And then it talks about that life cycle, as well as, all the way to a tree. And then it talks about, we go through a life cycle, the moon. And so it's making those connections for, children, and fish, or frogs rather. And so, so again, it's just a great book, and putting that academic vocabulary in their ear. And again, each of them are written where you can read a lot, or just, just the main part of it, or just do your own talk through the text to explain it. So, so that's what I wanted to go over with y'all, and just kind of point out and show you that they are available. If it would be helpful, I can send Shauna the little page that shows the different concepts that are supported by that particular book. One of the ones, I think I just showed it as an example in one of the books, Families. I think that this one is, I think almost everybody does a study of families, but one of the things that I particularly love about this one is not only does it talk about family traditions, but it also talks about what brings families together. And even though we may look differently, we may live in different places, there are a lot of things that tie us together, that bind us together. And so this one in particular, in addition to supporting, traditions and relationships and, family traditions and identity, it really supports those social and emotional skills of relationships relationship building. It also is teaching really empathy and recognizing similarities that we have, as well as self-awareness, because they're reflecting on their family, what their family likes to do, but then also social awareness. And so if you sent any of the books home, but this book in particular, you could even put a little question on your playlist that said, leave a comment about what your family likes to do. And then you have all that information coming in from all of your children, and you can do whatever you do with those kinds of things, graph how many do this, how many like this. But also you could encourage them to, find a neighbor or a friend that does something different than what they do. And so now we're really laying that foundation and starting to teach that social awareness in social and emotional on that, the social awareness spectrum of just, realizing that there are people who do things differently than we do. So I think this is an incredible book. And if you've already done a study on families, it would be fun just to go back and revisit this. So what I'd like for you to do now is just put in the chat or unmute yourself as to how you could see your teachers or your programs or whatever using one or more of these books. I mean, like when I was kind of flipping through them, did anything make you go, oh, that would be cool, or anything like that? Y'all are like, these are mostly just information getting meetings. So go ahead.
Sorry. Our facility has an edible schoolyard, and this year we're deciding to do and adopt a vegetable where families are in charge of a specific vegetable in our garden. And so the garden one that you went through would be a good way to get families interested and continue learning with that type of
right. Yeah. That's a great idea. I really, really love that. And it would be fun to, to then, talk about, because they talk about how some grow on top of the ground and some are under the ground and things like that. And to even bring that concept in of, with the vegetables that they're adopting or, growing or whatever, and kind of talk about that. That's a great idea. In fact, the modeled moment fruit salad, the mom is saying, we're going to make a fruit salad for dinner, help me get the fruits that we need. It's like, we need 4 bananas, help me count out the 4 bananas, and we need 5 of this and 3 of this. And so I was thinking, number one, that supports counting, obviously, but then your question could be, talk about with your child if they know how that one grows, because you've just shared a book about all the ways that those things grow, and talk about, did those bananas grow on a tree or under the ground, or, what do you think? So, all right, let me check the chat here. Good. Okay. Rochelle said, a wonderful compliment to our playlist. Gardening would be fun as a family to do. Young children and parents. We have a garden on our site. I think my teachers can use all these books to extend the learning. Children plant a garden, they take care and get to take home what they grow. I just think that is so cool. Sarah said, I'd like to see our preschool teachers use the Simple Machine book and then visit our 4th grade classroom. Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. That would really, really be cool, setting up that little buddy learning. That is really cool. And Lois said, I have already sent the gardening book. Way to go, Lois, to her family engagement specialist who's going to be in charge of our garden. She'll be working with certain classrooms to maintain the garden. Be a great way to connect parents. Excellent, excellent. Good. And it's a compliment to what you all are already doing. We're trying to find creative ways to facilitate parent-child interactions. And I think going on a scavenger hunt for shapes. I think that would be cool too, after you've shared that book, and then say, now go in your house. They could send you back a screenshot, or they could draw what they found, or just list it, or the child could just tell you what they found. We love boxes here, and having more conversations about this shape would add to their early math skills. Also talking about the use of the boxes. Good. The books are in Spanish. Yes, they are. They're only in English and Spanish. And I know that some of you guys have other, but the pictures I think are good enough that a family that, spoke Vietnamese or Khmer or whatever could, kind of get the gist of it and talk about the book from the pictures. Good. Well, this is just, y'all were great. Pat yourselves on the back. I wish I were there or could shove little Ready Rosie stickers through my computer. So I do agree that I think that these ebooks are probably the most overlooked resource that we have. I just think, teachers don't have time to go on and find everything that we have. And so I think that these have been, overlooked. So I'm glad that you guys are excited about them. So any questions for me before I turn it back over to Shauna?
I do. This is Anna.
Uh-huh.
You say that these books, they can have access, or we have to send them the link?
No. They have access already. So when they click on resources as a caregiver, and they click on ebooks, all of these books will come up automatically. I was just, okay,
So
you're in
on their
right.
phone. I'm not like a client, so I'll be like a parent. So
Okay.
where do I exactly go?
Okay, that I don't think they're in there. Can you access resources from that? That's the app that you download.
Okay,
And
so it's not
yes. So are there resources on the app? I don't think there are. I
No.
think you have to access it from the ReadyRosie.com website that they which is what they get when you or Ready Rosie sends a playlist or you share a video. It doesn't go to them in that app. It goes to the ReadyRosie.com. It notifies them by email or text. And when they click on either the email or the text, they're not taking them to that app. They're taking them to the ReadyRosie.com website thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And in full transparency, I think Shauna's heard me share this before. The app has not kept up with all of our additions and new features that we've added in the last couple of years. And once we got purchased by Teaching Strategies, they decided to wait before they update that app like you have, so that we can continue to integrate it with the Creative Curriculum and Gold and things like that. But with that app that they download, they can explore the library and things like that. But these they would have to access through ReadyRosie.com. And so some teachers just share the link for the ebook like that. Okay, so it would go to them either in an email or a text, and then they would click on it and they could get to it that way. But a lot of times I just share the link so the parent doesn't have to go look for it themselves. So
Teddy, can you show them how they would send a link to the book?
yeah, absolutely. So let's say that I wanted to share, not quite that big, share that book, the link for that book. So I would just come up here and copy and paste up here in my little menu bar up here. And then I have to come back over here to, let me find one that doesn't have a book opened up. Whoops, that's what I get for just opening up tabs and tabs. And then let me go to my teacher view. And if I wanted to share it with just one child, I could come up to my envelope and click here. I have to wait for the blue line to get across. And then come down here to the child that I wanted to get it. And just, I think you will enjoy this. And then type the link. And then send it like that. And then they can click on it and it'll take them to the book. Or if they are creating a playlist and they want to share it with a playlist, when they are creating that playlist, they could just put it right there in the playlist. And then that link would go when they share that playlist that they've created. If they want to then also add the modeled moments that we have linked to that way. So, all right. So what else? What other questions? So it's resources and then ebooks right here. So. Well, y'all had great ideas on how to use the ebooks, and I'm sure Shauna's going to say this, but take pictures and send to us on how your teachers, use them or share, so that we can share with each other all the great things that you guys have come up with. So, all right, Shauna.
Okay, so I'm just going to expand a little bit more on Teddy's trying to engage in some group discussion. And we talked a little bit last month about some family engagement activities and some ideas, some things that some programs did in the last month, and some ideas of things programs can do this month. And we had some share out so that we could make sure that we were able to get information out to all of you, so you wouldn't have to maybe reinvent the wheel when you're thinking about parent engagement activities. So I just want to try to make sure that every time we meet, we also have the opportunity to share out. So I'm just curious if anybody's willing or wanting to kind of share any recent family engagement activities you did and how you included Ready Rosie, or anything that you have coming up soon. So quiet. I may put Tracy Naylor on the spot because she wasn't on last month, and I did talk about the dance party.
Mm-hmm.
So Tracy, can you talk a little bit about how you guys did the dance party?
I was just trying to find my unmute button so I could talk. We did do a dance party. We did a Facebook Live. So I had one teacher that came up with some songs or some websites to go to play music, and my staff, all of us, danced for the kids on this Facebook Live post. And that, and I can't remember how many views we had, but we got lots of pictures coming back of kids doing the dance party after we were done.
Mm-hmm.
So you shared that, you did it Facebook Live on Facebook, then they watched it and they did it and sent pictures of themselves and sent it into you. Is that how you did it?
Yeah. Yep. And then we also did Take 10.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it went as well as I wanted it to. One, we ended up having to pre-record it. It just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
There were just too many things that were happening, and we had it scheduled, and then I think we had snow days, or I had to leave for a family emergency, and then the following week we had snow days, and so we ended up, my secretary and I did it together. She translated everything in Spanish, and then I had to actually I had to upload the video to like Google Drive and then share it through Google Drive.
Okay. Yeah,
So
that would be a little harder when you're recording. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of work. So.
that is a lot of work.
So I think if we try to do it again, I think I would make sure that we do it the Facebook Live.
Right.
And we advertised for it, so we it's coming, and then I put a reminder on Facebook. Oh, we're gonna start the Take 10 at 4 o'clock, and
Yeah.
it just life happened. And,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it does happen. So.
Anybody else want to share out any family engagement activities? Are y'all doing family engagement activities and no one just wants to talk about it, or are they really not being done? Because I have a feeling that some of you have to do some of them.
So I can share, not necessarily with Ready Rosie, but we're actually tomorrow night we have our multicultural family engagement event. And so we invited people prior to share pictures of cultures or things that they do in their home, or family pictures, pictures of decorations, or practices they do. And then our kiddos that were in the center, we had them make various art. And then we sent home some art supplies to kiddos. And so tomorrow evening will be a virtual event where we've put together a slideshow of those various things that people sent. So we'll be sharing that, as well as inviting them to show like their craft they made, and just having kind of singing and various things like that over Zoom. So we're pretty excited about that.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
One
that
thing-
is cool, Sarah.
One thing that I saw done along those lines at a family event was they showed the modeled moment family shield. And so the kids just take, just the outline of a shield, and most kids are familiar with it from the different shows that they've, seen and everything. And then as a family, they talk about what is important in our family, and then they drew, and when they said they were going to do that, I was like, okay, well, some of these are 4 or 5-year-olds, and but yet it was, it really turned out cool, and it gave them a chance to talk about what are those things that are important to our, our families. So so if you do it again, or you want to follow up, check out Family Shield. So good.
Any other final discussion or any other questions for Teddy before we sign off?
I was going to share what we did for our family event. We did it back in December. We actually invited families in, and we did like a little dinner, Christmas party kind of thing. But we had like finger puppets and all that other stuff. And then we did, my video's not working. Maybe it might work. We did this with our families.
Oh, cool.
So when they all came in, we did pictures of all the kids and stuff and put them up there. And that was something that we kind of did and had fun with.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. It really goes along with the video that you shared last month, Teddy, when you could ask children to go get a picture or to show a picture and do the family photo album, which there are videos on the Ready Rosie playlist on that too. So Amanda, if you haven't sent that playlist out, I encourage you to go find it and then maybe send that playlist out to your parents as a reinforcement from the family engagement activity you did. So
Okay. Hi, buddy.
all right, well, unless there's any further discussion, I'm going to let you all go. Let it be noted, we're 7 minutes ahead of schedule, so you all get 7 minutes of extra time, except for Tracy. She's going to stay on with me a bit. Other than that, unless there's something else, I think you're all free to go. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye,
Please
guys.
get with me if there's anything you need. Matea, if you do need those specific directions sent to you, let me know. We'll get them, okay?
Yeah. All right. Bye.